Hi, I'm Leanne and welcome to my Small Batch Big Taste Kitchen. And we are kicking off week 2 of Cookie Month. Now, if you missed the cookie recipe last week, you can check it out up there. Melty moments, they literally melt in your mouth. And I have lots of other small batch cookie recipes you'll find up there too. Now, today's recipe is a viewer requested recipe. Now, if you ever have a recipe you'd like to see in small batch form, go ahead, leave me a comment. I'd love to know what it is. Today we are making orange cranberry biscotti. Now, this treat is not only delicious to enjoy yourself with a cup of tea, with a cup of coffee, but it is also the perfect little holiday treat to share with a neighbor or a friend. Just wrap up a few pieces of biscotti in a little cellophane bag and gift it to someone you love. So it says that today we're making an orange cranberry biscotti because that's one of my favorite holiday flavors. But down below, I'm gonna list some other flavor combinations that you could use. For our cranberries, we're just using dried cranberries. And I have 1/4 of a cup of dried cranberries in this little bowl. And we just wanna hydrate them a little bit. So I have over here just some water boiling on the stove. And we're just gonna pour over enough hot boiling water so that it covers those cranberries. And then we're gonna let them sit for just a couple of minutes. So if you're not familiar with biscotti, it originated in Italy and it is a twice baked cookie. You're gonna bake it twice. It's crisp, it's rectangular shape, typically full of nuts or dried fruit. And it is used for dipping into coffee or tea. And the cookie softens up as you dip it into the hot liquid. All right, we're gonna start mixing up our biscotti dough. I have 2 tablespoons of melted salted butter in my bowl. We're gonna add in 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. We are gonna use 2 tablespoons of beaten egg. So I just took an egg, beat it up, and I'm gonna measure out 2 tablespoons. You're gonna have probably about 2 tablespoons left, depending on the size of your egg. Make sure you check out some of those giant cookie recipes up there. They're the perfect way to use up this leftover egg. And then we're using orange. Orange cranberry is our flavor of this season. And I have a tablespoon of fresh squeezed orange juice in here and about half a teaspoon of grated orange zest. It's gonna give it great flavor. Let's just mix that together. All right, then we're ready for our dry ingredients. So we are using 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour plus 2 tablespoons, all right? I'm gonna put in a pinch of salt, and then we're using 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. There we go. And then we're just gonna mix that until all the dry ingredients are combined. All right, and we're ready for those cranberries. I'm gonna drain off the liquid. All right, get all the liquid out of there. They've just plumped up and softened up a bit. And then we're gonna pop those into the batter, the dough, and just mix it till it's combined. All right, now this dough is gonna be pretty wet and damp, so it is gonna need to chill for about 30 minutes. So I've got a piece of plastic wrap right here, and I'm gonna pop that down there. And I'm gonna need a little bit of flour. All right, I'm just gonna put a little bit of flour on my fingers and flatten this into, I want it to be about a 3 by 4 rectangle. And then we're just gonna wrap it up, stick it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Okay, our biscotti dough has chilled. We're gonna unwrap it and we're gonna put it on a parchment lined baking sheet. And we're gonna pop it into a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 20 minutes. All right, you wanna bake it just until it starts to turn a nice light golden brown, because remember, we are gonna bake this a second time. This is just the first bake. All right, our biscotti has baked. Mine baked for about 15 minutes. We're just getting a nice golden cast to it, a little golden brown around the edges, but not too brown. And we wanna take it off of the baking sheet onto a cooling rack, and we're gonna let it sit and cool for 15 minutes. And then we'll be ready for the second bake. You wanna take it off of the cookie sheet because the cookie sheet is hot and it will continue to cook it if you leave it sit on the cookie sheet. So take it off and put it on a cooling rack. All right, it has cooled and we are ready to slice it. Now I'm gonna use a serrated bread knife. I find that this works easiest. And I'm gonna cut it in half. We're gonna make 4 biscotti. And then that piece in half. And I like to trim off this outside edge just a bit to to get a flat edge because we're gonna put it back on the cookie sheet and I want it to lay flat on the cookie sheet. So we're gonna take each of these pieces and place them on a cut side down. So there's a cut side up, a cut side down, and we're putting them back on the baking sheet without parchment paper, okay? No parchment paper. All right, and then we're gonna pop them back in the oven for the second bake. And for the second bake, we're gonna wanna bake them anywhere, depending on how crispy and crunchy you like your biscotti. I personally like my biscotti crispy, crunchy on the outside, but still a little bit of chew on the inside. So I don't bake it quite as long, but anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes on each side. So you're gonna bake it 5 to 8 minutes on this side, then we're gonna go ahead and flip them over to the other cut side up and another 5 to 8 minutes. Did I say a 350-degree oven? So our biscotti finished its second bake and it has cooled. And you can see how it's got nice, just golden brown around the edges. Now, one thing to note is it will harden up and crisp up more as it cools. I did end up cooking this one 8 minutes on each side, which is the maximum I would do, because I just wanted to see how really crisp it was gonna get. I typically do it a few minutes less just because, like I said, I like to eat the biscotti more as a cookie rather than dipping it into coffee or tea. But if you're gonna be dipping it into something, then totally get it nice and crisp and it will soften up as you dip it in your hot liquid. Now, to dress these up, finally, we're gonna add a little bit of melted white chocolate. Cranberry, orange, and white chocolate, such a good holiday combo. I have just in here added 1/4 cup of white chocolate chips. You could use any white chocolate you have, and then I melted in the microwave. White chocolate does burn quicker and faster than semi-sweet or milk chocolate, so just watch it. And if you find you want a nice kind of drizzling consistency, if you find that your chocolate is clumping a little bit and not giving you that nice drizzling consistency, add in just a few drops of canola or vegetable oil and it will thin it right down. But I'm just gonna take these, I'm gonna kind of place them close together. Oh, and I am gonna grab a piece of parchment paper to place underneath to clean up the mess, make cleaning up the mess easier. That way, hopefully, all the chocolate will end up on the paper, not my counter. We're just gonna drizzle, go right across them. Now, like I said, these are so delicious, perfect for the holidays. But if you don't want orange cranberry, you could just do some chopped nuts like pecans or walnuts in it and leave out the orange juice and the craisins. What other flavor combinations of biscotti have you had that you tried? I think the possibilities are endless out there. But this one is my favorite, is that orange and cranberry. All right, and then we're just gonna let this chocolate set up. If you're in a hurry, go ahead, stick it into your refrigerator and let it harden. Okay, once these have cooled and hardened up, you want to store them in an airtight container to keep them nice and crisp. And all you need is a cup of tea, hot cocoa, coffee, whatever you prefer, and dip away or just enjoy.